All right, let's jump right into a really groundbreaking news study. It unravels a huge mystery at the heart of how certain cancers, especially breast cancer, find their way to the brain. Researchers have just figured out a key reason this deadly journey happens, and, even more exciting, how we might actually be able to stop it.
So you might be asking yourself, why does it matter so much where a tumor is? Well, it's a critical question, because where cancer spreads, what scientists call metastasis, can make all the difference in the world. A tumor in one place might be treatable, but once it travels to a vital organ like the brain, well, the game completely changes. And for breast cancer, one of the most dangerous destinations is, you guessed it, the brain. You have to think of the brain as this heavily guarded fortress, protected by what's called the blood-brain barrier. It's a notoriously tough place for treatments to get into and for cancer cells to survive. Or at least, that's what we used to think. This harsh reality has left scientists with this massive puzzle. What's the secret? What gives certain cancer cells a key to not only break into this fortress, but to actually build a new stronghold and thrive in such a protected place?
Well, to crack this case, researchers at Tel Aviv University went looking for a clue right in the tumor's own DNA. They focused on one of the most famous genes in all of cancer biology, hunting for a genetic smoking gun. The gene is called p53. You can think of it as the guardian of our genome. Its whole job is to act like an emergency brake, stopping our cells from turning cancerous if something goes wrong. But here's the kicker. What happens when that guardian gets knocked out?
So they did the logical thing. They compared the genetics of the original breast tumors to the ones that had made that journey to the brain. And the pattern they found was, wow, it was stunningly consistent, and it pointed right at one single culprit.
Get this, 98%. In a huge analysis looking at multiple studies, a staggering 98% of breast cancer tumors that had spread to the brain had a broken, inactivated p53 gene. It's practically a universal feature.
In this chart just lays it out plain as day. Look at the difference. In the original breast tumors, maybe around 45% have a broken p53. But in the tumors that make it to the brain, that number skyrockets to nearly 100%. That's not a coincidence, folks. That is a giant, flashing neon sign that losing p53 is critical for this journey.
And this wasn't just a correlation, not just two things happening at once. The researchers proved it. In lab experiments, they took breast cancer cells and just switched off the p53 gene. And boom, suddenly those cells were able to set up shop in the brain. It's like they handed the cancer cells a VIP pass, a license to metastasize.
But how? I mean, how exactly does one broken gene do all that? How does it help a cancer cell survive in a place as unique and challenging as the brain? Well, it turns out the secret is all about food.
Think about it. All cells need fuel to grow, and a big source of that fuel is fat. The thing is, the brain is kind of like a desert when it comes to available fats. So, these sneaky cancer cells with the broken p53 gene, they figured out a brilliant workaround to avoid starvation.
It's incredible, really. With p53 gone, the cancer cell just flips a switch and turns on its own little internal fuel factory. This factory lets the cell make its own fats right from scratch. It essentially packs its own lunch, which allows it to thrive in an environment where other cells would just starve to death.
But wait, the plot thickens. Because these cancer cells, they're not working entirely alone. They actually recruit some local help by hijacking the brain's very own support system.
Let's talk about astrocytes. These are supposed to be the good guys. They're the most common cells in the brain, and their whole job is to be caretakers, protecting our neurons. But in this absolutely chilling twist, the cancer cells trick them, turning these protectors into unwitting accomplices.
The cancer cells send out signals that basically call the astrocytes over. And then, the astrocytes start acting like a delivery service, bringing the cancer all the raw materials it needs, like fatty acids. They're literally feeding the beast, helping this invader grow even stronger and more aggressive.
Okay, but this is where the science gets really exciting. The researchers thought, wait a minute, this total dependence on its own fuel factory, it's the cancer's superpower for sure. But maybe, just maybe, it's also its greatest weakness. It's Achilles' heel.
So they asked a simple but brilliant question. If the cancer absolutely needs this factory to survive in the brain, what happens if you just shut it down? To find out, they ran a really decisive experiment in mice.
First, the control group. Just as they'd seen before,
The tumors with the broken p53 gene grew way, way bigger than the ones with a working p53. No surprises there, that's what we already knew.
But then they brought in the secret weapon. They gave the mice a drug that specifically blocks that fuel factory. And look at the result. It's amazing. Those super aggressive tumors, they just shrank dramatically. The treatment hit them right where it hurts, targeting the very cells that relied on this pathway.
So this is so much more than just a fascinating piece of biology. This discovery opens up two powerful new battlefronts for fighting one of the deadliest forms of cancer. This is about translating fundamental science directly into real hope for patients.
So what's the takeaway here? It's like a 1-2 punch. First, we have a promising new treatment strategy. Drugs that block this fuel factory could be a game changer for these tumors. And second, we have a powerful early warning system. By simply checking the p53 gene in a primary tumor, doctors could spot patients who are at the highest risk and watch them much more closely.
This entire incredible story really hinges on one simple idea. You are what you eat. And for these deadly cancer cells, their very specific self-made diet in the brain may have just revealed the secret to starving them out for good.